Hey, I am on today. We'll see. Hopefully, I can stay on for a while. Let me check something. I'm worried that I started a stream or something and it's showing up that I started one and everybody's on that. Like, where's Tom? Here we go. Let me just make sure that one's deleted. I went to log on and I had no video, no camera. Oh, good. Okay, didn't it? So I'm live now. No. Oh, we got viewers. Okay, good. All right. Let's see. So we're going to talk more about slide stuff. So is anybody here? Come on. Oh, we got a like already. Oh, hey, David. Good to see you. Thank you. It takes about 15 seconds for your message to show up on my live chat here. I think that's what we timed it at, right? Didn't I go? When I count to three, do a thumbs up or say hi, and it's like 1, 2, 3. So my camera wasn't working. So I was working this morning, got up early to do some work, and my camera was not working. And, well, my camera, I didn't even know my camera wasn't working. I was working, and then I thought, oh, okay, I better jump on right now. I got everything done before 9, and I turned everything on, and black, nothing. Little green light here on the camera didn't light up, and I went, oh, shoot. I went to photo booth, nothing. Yeah, so it was kind of weird. And so, okay, I'm going to touch my face so we can take a sip. Make sure you have libations handy because we're going to do some drinking. So this here. So I had to reboot, and then I rebooted and it worked. So I don't know what happened. I've never had that. I've never had it happen where the camera didn't work in the iMac. So. So we were talking about we were talking about slides, and I like using wah and slide, by the way. That's always a fun. A lot of times I'll use that for a guitar solo because I really like the sound of the two together. But we're gonna talk about technique today. So last week I got someone who was like, a 2-hour video and you talked about slide for 15 minutes, and I'm like, yeah, well, welcome to my live stream. If you go on Wednesday's live stream, you can see the comment. I went ahead and proved it. I just said sorry. It's just the way my live stream is. And that's kind of because we're community. But we're going to talk about technique. One of the problems is, of course, I broke my fingernail, so that does affect my tone for getting, like, particularly the E string, because it's what I use on my third. And then probably Monday we're going to talk more about note selection or how to find slide-like things in standard tuning. We're going to be in standard tuning for a while, and then I'll probably do open G at some point. Open D is also very common for slide. But I prefer open G, probably because that's what Sonny Landreth uses. I think Dwayne Allman preferred, and probably, what's his name? We were talking about him last week, or the other day. shoot, Derek Trucks. I think he prefers open D. So, hello from Louisville. We got an orange sun here, but it's not. We don't have any fires around us, but we get a lot. We got some smoke. Most of the fires are to the east of us, so the sun rises and we get an orange sun, and then the weather is going to the east. So we're not, when we had fires out in like Santa Barbara and things like that, then we would get all that smoke. So, oh yeah, I see buffering. Sorry. Oh dang, really? Man, we're having problems today. Combination of my camera not working and now buffering. My wife is teaching on Zoom. She's got 29 students right now on Zoom that she's teaching. So she's in the other room. So maybe has some effect. Right now we're in the green. Stay in the green. Oh, it's dropping. Come on, stay in the green. Sorry. Okay, so generally when I'm playing slide, I don't use a pick. Now what I do is I have my pick in my hand, like this. So I can, kind of create the claw I need to grab strings and still have the pick in my hand. It's not going to be convenient for everybody. I developed that technique probably without even knowing it. You got to put your hand somewhere. Are there students dealing with the slide guitar in the background? Oh. Let's see. We both are in here. I was recording with someone, Michigan, rarely, about 15 seconds lag, but then it went down to no lag. Oh, cool. Yeah, I don't. You were recording actually with someone from you're in England. Oh my gosh, it's dropping down to the red. Dang it. Sorry. So frustrating. Yeah, no, it's you're talking about haziness in Louisville from California. That's definitely true. My brother-in-law just texted me today that it was hazy, and they're saying that the haze is caused in Indiana from the smoke here in California. So, but basically, the technique I use is kind of playing with my fingers, particularly on single note stuff. Now, when I'm in an open tuning, I can do a lot of notes, okay? And we're going to talk about that. For the most part, we're going to use the caged method to come up with lots of shapes we can use, okay? So in other words, we'll be basing the shapes we can grab with our slide on the 5 basic chords that we all know, C, A, G, E, and D. And mainly E, G, and A. Those are going to be our 3 main ones. And then there's some stuff you can do from C and D, but it's a little bit more tricky. And then we're going to talk about major chords and minor chords, and we're going to be in standard. When you're in open when you're open D or open G, it's hard to play minor chords because the actual straight across any fret is going to be a major chord. Okay, and that makes it difficult. So you have to use chord substitution. So that's where theory comes in. Now you can use your ear, and your ear is going to be able to go, oh yeah, that works, or that doesn't work. But we've talked about the minor substitutions before. That this is a classic example where you're going to kind of use minor substitutions to come up with your minor chords. But you're actually going to have to do the major substitution. You have to go the other way. So if you want an E minor, you can't really play E minor in open G. You can play an E5 chords, but you can play a G chord, which creates an E minor 7 sound. So it's that kind of stuff. We'll get into that later, okay? Right now, first thing we talked about for maybe 15, 20, 30, 40 minutes was slides and what to use, what kind of slide. This is the new one I just got. It's called a preaching pipe. I kind of like it. It's about, I forget who makes it, maybe Dunlop, I don't know. They make a lot of slides. But it's solid brass, feels great in the hand, it gets warm, feels good. it's got a slight taper to it. So I think you're supposed to wear it this way, but maybe you're supposed to wear it that way. I don't know. You know, I hadn't really thought about it. Maybe it is supposed to be the bigger end on this, but I have it. I'm playing it the other. I don't really see any real technical difference. It might feel a little bit better with the taper at the top than at the bottom. I don't know. It's clever. But I like the feel of it. You know, we talked about it, and Bruce, you've got, if you're on, I think I see, yeah, there you are. You got out your, and I saw you had it on your third finger. It's heavy though, but this is a Craftsman socket. This one's an 11/16. But the great thing about this is you can go to the store and try out a bunch of them and put them on your pinky and feel, you know, oh, is it too big or too small? This one fits really great. It's not too snug. The tip of my finger actually fits in that little square thing at the top. So it kind of holds it and it keeps it. It kind of keeps it really stable and makes it feel secure. The great thing about this is you can find them in any city. So if you're touring and you need one of these quick, hardware stores are often open early where guitar stores are not. So you can always find one, and they'll never break. But if they do, Craftsman will replace it for free. And it's about a fourth the price of this. This is like $18, $20. This was about $5. So, however, I feel like this is pretty heavy, and I think something about having that weight on the tip of your finger. My hand will get a little sore down in here if I use this slide too much. But the reason I mean, I would prefer to have this one, but the problem is I keep putting it in the gig bags and I keep breaking these. This is probably my third one of these. And you get it in a gig bag and it's soft, and somebody puts an amp on top of it or whatever, God help you, you know, if they do that. But, oh shoot, we're getting buffering again, dang it. Yeah, C to A minor, well, A minor to C is more like it, a Vito. If you're trying to play an A minor chord, you're going to have to play a C chord if you're in open tuning. But we'll talk about that. That's coming up soon. Okay, so okay. Sunday, what's sun? I can't even see the sun in San. Oh man. Oh, here you're in San Jose. Yeah, I've seen pictures. It's crazy. It looks like a movie set. So, but that was what we had last year. I mean, we had fires in Granada Hills last year, and our skies were my neighbor got his entire house like redone because of smoke damage. Our house is like sealed, like hermetically sealed. We didn't have, I couldn't even smell the smoke inside my house. It's crazy. Yes. John is asking, saying that the books tend to say the slide, your action needs to be higher on a guitar that you're going to use for slide. Yes and no. I mean, you can develop a lighter touch. I feel like it's easier to play a low action guitar with a glass slide because the glass slide is very light. But this one, yeah, this one's a problem because it's very heavy. Now, granted, I'm playing vertically. If I were playing this way, if I were playing horizontally, it would be way too heavy, and it would just push the strings right down. That's why slide guitars have, you know, the action is really hot. Not slide guitar, but dobros and lap steels, you know, they don't even have frets. They just have fret markers. Actually, well, mine does because mine's actually a resonator guitar that I put a lifter on. I showed you that Wednesday. But yeah, so you can develop a touch. I can play slide on any guitar, but trust me, yeah, if you have really light strings and low action, it's going to be really, really hard. However, the reason they say that, okay, and this is important, the reason they say that is so you don't fret out, right? You don't want the sound of frets. Let's see if I can get a little more. Hear that chromatic? Okay, so for 1,000 years I've thought, yeah, you don't want the frets on there at all, okay? So, and then I hear Derek Trucks and he's like, you know, like. He's using the frets to create that flutter sound. And I'm like, oh, that is the coolest thing ever. And it totally flies in the face of how high, you know, playing with high action. So, but when we do the open tuning thing, I'll probably go grab my Dan Electro, which I do have set for higher action. I'll probably do that because I have that set to open G for quite a long time. So I'll probably grab that guitar and I'll be using that, even though it's a little noisy. So, Bruce, let's see. Yeah, yeah. And you'll notice that some slide players, they use Les Pauls because Les Pauls are flatter radius. So you have less of an issue with that. Because you do have to, if you have a Strat, you've got a little bit of radius and you have to push it. But I'm nowhere near. I mean, if you just if you can resist the temptation to push, you don't need lower or higher action. So, I mean, this guitar is one of my favorites to play because it has. It's got pretty low action. And so I've got it kind of set up to be a rock guitar, and but I don't have a problem playing slide on it. So it's a lot of its touch and technique, and also the slide you use. I feel like a glass slide is going to be a little bit easier to play with lower action. And then if you want to, the tone of a metal is a little bit more sustain, fuller, something about it. But Derek Trucks and Dwayne Allman used the Corseton bottle, which you can get these. I looked up on eBay on Wednesday, and you can find the original ones of these for about $100. Like if you wanted to get a legit Corseton bottle. The problem was they were all different sizes, so it was kind of like some of them were really squat, some of them were really big around, like they would never be used for slide. So I don't know why people are selling them. Why people are buying them, but I know why people buy the ones that are this size. But it's better just to go ahead and get this one. Now this one's the thicker one, so it's more expensive. I think they had $5 ones. Dunlop did on Amazon. I put links up for those. Drop G. What's drop G? Is drop G where you drop the D and the D? I mean, I like using double drop D for slide because the bottom is like a power chord and the top is like an open G chord. We could talk about that too. I did a video on that. In fact, I can pull that video up. And then I also did a video on the let's see. Where are my videos? Here they are. Okay, so search my videos. Slide. Double. Let me pull up the double first. I wish you gave me a link for here. So here's my, and I referenced slide in this video. So check out this video for really good tuning for playing slide. And then I also did a slide for beginners one. And a slide in standard tuning. Oh, I see. Okay. All right, my son's texting me. All right, so here's the, I think that's this, what is that one? What did I just give you? Plain slide and standard tuning. Okay, and then the slide for beginners is 10 tips for slide. Okay, like I said, my view counts are going down because my one big video is just not getting recommended anymore. So it's really affecting my YouTube revenue. So I wish some of these would get popular because I feel like they're pretty good lessons. All right, so let's talk about some technique here. So here's the client. Okay. Sorry, I got it. All right, so one of the things I do now, I'm going to go ahead and take my pick out of my hand. Okay, so that's not an issue. So what you might do is the reason, like I said, I'll pick up a slide. If I'm going to play slide the whole song, I won't even have to pick in my hand. But generally what happens is I got the slide sitting there. I got a little stand that clips onto the, like for picks and capos and slide or whatever. Breath mints from wearing a mask. And I've got, I'll grab the slide and start playing. I'll start playing some slide. I might use my pick. I mean, I'm not opposed, but I still have to do a lot of muting. But if I can, if I can have my fingers available, then I have a lot more control over what string is playing and things like that. It doesn't get so noisy. I don't know who you are. Sorry, I don't know who this is. Everybody's bugging me right now. Okay, so basically what I want to do is just put down our pick. We won't worry about trying to develop a technique where you can play slide with your fingers. And sorry, my son is texting me. So we won't worry about that. Okay. So basically what I do is I assign my index, middle, and ring to the top 3 strings, and I kind of play the bottom 3 strings with my thumb. Okay. But I'm muting everything. So I'm kind of laying. Let me try to aim this so you can kind of see what I'm doing here. Okay. Right. And that would pretty much be the same if I was playing lap steel. Pretty much doing the same thing there. The only thing on lap steel, I might go to the middle 4 strings and then kind of reach up and get that top string when I wanted it, or move my fingers back and forth like this. And I may do that on electric too. So I might actually play the top 3 strings sometimes with these 3 fingers, or move them down each 1 string. The only thing is, if I'm going to do that, I might mute the top string with my pinky, or I might do it with the back of my ring finger, okay? And all of this is because when you're dragging a slide across it, if you're not muting, if you try to play a melody without muting, it's going to sound like... You're going to hear all sorts of notes you don't want to hear. So you really have to kind of focus the tone or focus the music to whatever string you're playing a note on, and mute the others. It takes a while. What I would do is I would practice on 1 string. We can practice playing like a C scale or something like that, starting on C, here at the 5th fret. And we got to talk about vibrato too, because vibrato is your friend when it comes to slide. The other thing you're going to want to do probably is have a tuner on your guitar. That has saved me many, many times. And that allows you to kind of fine tune your note, especially if you can't hear yourself very well. I mean, how many times have you played in a band situation and you just can't freaking hear yourself? And there's a huge difference between playing this, right, and playing this, volume-wise. So when you're on stage and you're like setting your volume and you're warming up and you're sound checking everything, you set your volume to that big E chord, the big rhythm stuff, and then you go to play a lead and you disappear. That's why all my lead sounds on my pedal board are all a little bit hotter than my rhythm sounds. Or I even sometimes I'll have a clean boost on set up so that I'm going about 4 dB hotter, 4, 5, 6 dB hotter when I'm going to solo. Because you're going from playing, that kind of thing where I'm actually even distorting and compressing the audio input here to playing. You're just not. Yeah. So that's basically going to be a big sound difference. So so having a tuner handy can help you in those moments where you can't hear yourself. You can kind of glance over at your tuner and go, "Oh, good, I'm on the right note." Okay. So John had a question. Oh, Dennis is posting the command tips. That's awesome because John, where was your question? We're gonna slide over the fret. Oh, it already disappeared up here. Yeah, no, you don't press down. You basically just want to lay the slide on the string. You don't want to press down, but you do want to be right above the fret wire, because that's typically. So if I hit, you can even check it if you want. So, and again, I'm using the slide on my pinky because that's what I always do. So a lot of people, including Derek Trucks and Dwayne Allman, use their middle finger. I mean, the ring finger. But I'm using my slide on my pinky. So what you can do is you can hit the note and then try to match it, and then try to get. And so you can get vibrato when you go up and down on the string here. But, okay. So, but I can tell by my tuner I'm in tune. And so I'm using one finger for all of that. So if we just go C, D, E, do, re, mi. So I'm using just my index finger to pluck that. I'm muting all the other strings. I'm muting the top two strings with my ring finger and middle finger. I'm muting the bottom three strings with my thumb, or the side of my thumb, okay? Right here. And so you're going to probably want to have your amp up. But you can do this quiet. But you also, practicing loud is a great way to make sure you're getting some of this down, okay? And so now what you want to do is go to the 5th fret, 7th fret, 9th fret, and you'll get C, D, E, back down. Now the vibrato can go, you can go below the fret and above the fret. That would be a kind of a true vibrato, where you're going flat and sharp. Not too much, just mostly I'm doing vibrato to keep the note ringing. If I don't do it, it'll fade out faster than if I'm. It lasts a lot longer if you're doing a little bit of vibrato. And then yes, exactly, John. It's kind of like playing a harmonic. You're trying. It takes a while. That's why I like the glass slide, because I feel like it's a little bit lighter and a little bit easier to kind of get started on. The metal slide is a little bit, I think, requires a little bit more restraint to keep yourself from pushing down too hard, okay? And the tuner, like I said, will help you stay in tune so you're not. And this is a rule of thumb. It's always better to be a little flat than a little sharp, okay? So I don't know why. Although if you listen to gospel choirs, they're notoriously sharp. And they all do it together. I don't know how that's even possible, but they're always a little bit sharp over the piano. But with slide, you know. And the other thing is you can do, like what I'm doing here is I'm going. So if you look at this hand over here, don't look at my slide, look at my right hand. As soon as I hit a note, or shortly thereafter, or right before I hit the next note, I'm muting the string with my first finger. So check this out. Because I want a clean transition between notes. However, that doesn't sound like slide. It almost sounds like I'm going. Right? Yeah, no, Sonny's a virtuoso. You're right. But if I don't use my first finger, then I get the slide, and that actually makes it sound more like a slide. So in some ways, you want to work on that too. Okay, so now I'm not muting the string with my first finger. Now I'm letting it ring out until I pluck it again. Now, another important thing, and if you heard a little bit of noise a second ago, it was because I lifted my fingers off the strings behind. I want to rest my fingers lightly on the strings behind the slide. Sometimes I forget. Sometimes I kind of get, but that's when you'll get that. You'll get a lot of noise. it's, you know, since we don't have a pickup here, although I have seen a guitar that had a pickup in the first fret, which is really weird. But that's to get the notes behind, which again is kind of weird because they're not in pitch, but it created a weird effect. That's what he did it for. Sorry, my eye itches, so I guess we can take a sip. Oh, let's see. Sorry, my son's asking me. He's going to come by and pick up his his birth certificate. He starts a new job today, or next week, I guess. All right, so I may make a list of all these things, slide tips, but because there's so many things. I don't know if you've ever taken a golf lesson, but when you take a golf lesson, a good teacher gives you one thing to think about, but I understand it from the teacher's perspective because he's standing there and you're doing a swing and you're doing 17 things wrong and he wants to fix them all, and that makes sense because you don't want to keep doing 16 things wrong and only fix one thing. And so I kind of feel like I'm doing that with you guys. I'm like, have a light touch, have a glass slide, mute with the right hand, mute with the left hand, all this stuff. And I know it's a lot to think of. That's why I'm kind of just saying, okay, let's not try to hit the ball 200 yards. Let's try to hit it 2 yards. Okay. Now, if I didn't mute with my left hand, it would sound like this. I'm hearing some strings, but it's not bad because I'm plucking one note. But if I went, it doesn't work. So if I played the E here instead of here, then what I'm doing now that I've struck the G string, it's still, it's still ringing. So all the other notes are going to ring. Any string you pluck, then from then on, it's going to, for the next second or two, it's going to ring. And so now you're going to have unintentional notes like this. I don't want that F sharp. That F sharp's not in the key. This is not what we want. That's why we want to focus the sound on just specific notes. You could try that. C, D, E, G. So I'm going 5, 7, 9. And that's just a good lick right there. Okay, you're playing the root, the second, the third, and the fifth. It's a bebop lick, actually. Okay, we haven't gotten to open strings yet. We could take that same little melody and put it in G. Okay. Now again, I'm muting in between every note to stop the string from ringing, so that I can move my hand to the next. So if we just go C to D and back, and again, now look at my right hand, not my left hand. Look at my right hand, and see how I'm muting. Now I might as well be going like this. Okay, so what's the point of having a slide? Exactly. You don't want to do that all the time, but what it does do is it gives you focus. It gives you focus. But if I want to, I go. C, D, C, D. Now I'm just plucking on the downbeats, and I'm not muting. See my right hand? And again, I'm trying to keep the slide pretty much over the fret because that's where the pitch is going to be. When you fret a note, you can be way back. I could be way back here, almost on the B note, and if I'm fretting, the fret does the work. See, pitch doesn't change it at all when I move my finger through all this. But if I'm there, that's a half step. so you got to be a little more precise with the slide. That's what blows me away when you've got guys like never can remember the guy's name. Union Station dobro player, unfreaking believable. I don't know how he does scale so fast on a dobro, but he can just play like, I mean, each note individually, comes out. You can't even tell he's playing his slide. Hey, Ed's here. Hey, Scott Harrington. I had a student named Scott Harrington with a T. Scott, where are you from? I don't recognize you. Did I say you could join us? No, I'm just kidding. Scott logs out. Okay, fine. Okay, so again, muting behind the slide, keeping the slide over the fret, vibrato. It's just so many things. It's like I'm giving you a freaking, driver lesson for driving on the range, See, and this is like this lick right here. So, and we're going to talk about this. Okay, that's going to be Monday. We're going to talk about the shapes that occur naturally. And by shapes, I mean we need straight line shapes that occur naturally up and down the fretboard. You know them, some of them, and some of them you may go, oh, I didn't realize that. We could use that. So, but 2 and 3 note or 2 and 3 string shapes we're going to tackle, and I'll probably do some diagrams. So we'll have some visual aids and some adult visual aids. They'll just be for any age. It just sounded weird when I said visual aids. But if I want to do like something like that, okay. Let me just see what. Okay, just making sure my clients are all happy. All right. Boo-ba-doo-ba-doo-ba-doo. Where are you? There we go. Okay. But that's where it's real important to do that lick that I just did, because I'm going up a half step on the E string. On the B string. E, F, down to like that. You cannot let those strings ring out, because check it out. It'll be like, it's going to be a chromatic like chord thing you don't want. So that's where you really got to get the muting thing down. Now when you're playing, one of the downsides to assigning a finger to every string and not using a pick is that you really you can only pluck so fast. But on slide, it's not like we're gonna ever want to go, very often. I mean, then I would get my pick out. But because I couldn't really do. I mean, I could maybe do a little flutter thing with my index finger, but it's never gonna sound like my pick. I'm never gonna get it that good. Oh, you're in New Jersey. Awesome. Well, welcome. And I apologize if you've been here 1,000 times and I just didn't notice. Okay, so let's try this. Let's try going. So what I'm doing is I'm plucking I'm muting everything but the G string. I'm at the 5th fret with a slide. Hit that, and then slide it up and hit it again at D, which is the 7th fret, and then slide back down and hit it again. Okay, so here's what muted. It sounds like this. Unmuted. Okay, so that's much more slide sounding and very cool, and very usable. Both are usable. Both are legitimate. Okay, because sometimes you just want bum bum bum, and other times you want blah blah blah, That's very slide-like. And then here's the other thing about the vibrato. You don't need to do the vibrato right away. Thoughts on slide that extends to the knuckle versus slide that only covers the outer finger joint. Well, we'll talk about that in a second. Because I noticed, Bruce, you could only get your slide so far, like there. Okay, but that's the vibrato thing is you can kind of delay the vibrato a little bit, which is really cool. You'll see keyboard players do that with vibrato on the keyboard. They'll be like, it'll vibrate. They'll delay it a little bit. There's a couple of reasons for that. One, you want to get the pitch first, and then vibrato is great for kind of hiding the subtle mistakes, but you don't want to overuse it to hide all your mistakes. And then the other thing is that vibrato is also a tool to continue the note sustaining. So the note will sustain longer. It's also more human, I think, too. The part of the reason why you use vibrato is to make it sound like the human voice. So if you kind of delay, most singers won't do vibrato right at the top of their note. They will do it at the end of the note. So it's much more human, much more musical to do it. And you can even practice that. Just slide up like maybe B flat to C, a whole step. Try to find that vibrato that speaks to you, because I've always said it, if you want to kind of learn to recognize different guitar players, listen to their vibrato. Everybody has a different vibrato. It's like a fingerprint. Some are short, or shallow and fast. Some are shallow and slow. Some are medium and medium. Some are fast and deep. I mean, I always think about Lukather. I always feel like he has a pretty, pretty fast. So did Hendrix. Pretty fast, deep vibrato. And you can tell a lot about a guitar player, but that's kind of part of your voice. And once you kind of develop your sound, or it's part of your sound, once you kind of find one that speaks to you, then just kind of... Once you find that vibrato that kind of speaks to you, then that'll be your signature. So, okay, so Bruce was asking about, is he, yeah, sort of. Yeah, I mean, I think it just depends, okay? If you're going to, and I don't have open tuning right now, I could tune my, I'm going to change guitars so we can take a sip. Need a tuner. Now, on acoustic, I'll probably use, well, I could use either. Oh, I already got a tuner. So take a sip. If you're going to be doing a lot of chord stuff, if you're going to be doing a lot of stuff like that, you're going to want a longer slide that at least covers all the strings. Okay? And you can still do that with a shorter slide, but it should at least cover, So I've got more than enough. I don't need. This could be a good half-inch shorter and be fine. All of these will cover the entire fretboard, so I don't really have a problem. I don't have one, but Alex has a slide that's about half this big, and he really likes it because he just wants to hit a single note. So if you're going to be doing a lot of soloing. If you're going to be doing a lot of soloing, then you don't need a long slide. And then, Bruce, you were also asking about it needing your joint. As long as if it's only going so far, as long as you can mute the other strings, if you're having a problem, like if it only goes this here, see the problem with this is that my index and second finger might not be able to reach that bottom string, if I can only get this far on the fretboard or whatever. So it just depends on, your ability to, you don't want strings ringing out. Now, in acoustic, it's very, very important to mute behind the fretboard because even though this side of the strings has the guitar box to amplify it, you'd be shocked at how loud this is back here when you're not paying attention to it. And that's some Sonny Landreth like licks. He likes to fret behind the slide. We're not going to talk about that now. We'll talk about that when we start talking about open G. And I'll bring an electric guitar and I'll set it up so that we're doing that kind of stuff. But oh, awesome. Scott, great to have you. Oh, let me put a link to the Discord. Several things are happening in Discord. If I create any worksheets or any diagrams, I upload them to Discord under Tom's Bookmarks, I think. And my last name is pronounced Strahle. So if you didn't know, it's not Strahl. Strahl is correct, but Strahle is the Americanization of a German last name. Actually, not my last name. My grandfather was adopted by his stepdad. My actual last name is Friedelbaum or Friedel or something. Something very, even more German sounding in my opinion. But I'm going to put a link here that shouldn't expire to the Discord. And that you can go there to get those worksheets and diagrams. You can also go there to continue discussion with people that populate the live stream. And also people, Bruce, who's one of the moderators here, he is building me a cigar box guitar, which is awesome and really cool of him to do that. And Bruce, I was just thinking about this yesterday. When you send it to, when I get it, I was going to do a live unboxing, but I'd rather go ahead and film it, like record it, and then post it as a special video, because I think it'll get a lot more views that way. I want to take advantage of that. So probably I'll do 2 videos. One will be the unboxing, and then another video I'll do a like about this instrument kind of thing after I've worked with it a while, because I want to be, I want to have some ideas and some musical ideas, maybe some song ideas, things like that. So so anyway, but you can see Bruce's what do I use to clean? I don't clean my guitars. It's very, very sad. Can't you tell? I mean, this thing is so filthy. The Martin is so filthy. I really don't. I mean, occasionally. In fact, I noticed the other day, I was like touching this part of my Martin, and it was like brown, and I'm like, oh, and I started rolling my thumb across it. It was like rolling up there. I'm like, oh, I am so lame. It's kind of like, and the funny thing is, in our house, in my studio, in the hallway, and in my bathroom, I've got guitars everywhere. Okay. But the rest of the house, you would never know I was a guitar player. I kind of keep, well, my daughter has 2 guitars hanging in her room. So Bruce, what I may do though, is I may taunt you guys. When you send it to me, I'll keep it back there for one of our live streams and say, okay, after our live stream, I'm gonna film an unboxing video. So stay tuned. And it'll just sit there and taunt everybody, and they'll be like, dang, would you open it? So, and maybe if you can, Bruce, resist the urge to post final pictures until I've done the unboxing. So that way it will be a surprise for everybody in our group here. So, okay. So, now here's what we want to do. I'm going to go ahead and go back to my glass slide. Try this. So I'm going to put, just pluck the open G string. So I'm muting everything else. Oh, shoot. I'll get rid of my pick. See, I'm holding my pick in my hand. Again, I've got a technique. Now, if you want to work on doing that, just hold the pick in your hand all day long, okay? I mean, I can write letters. I can type, well, I can type on a computer with a pick in my hand. I can pick my nose with my pick in my hand. I can pick a guitar with my pick in my hand. I can play Monopoly with a pick in my hand. I can eat dinner with a pick in my hand. I could write a song with my pick in my hand. I could write a song about writing a song with a pick in my hand. So because of that, I just naturally have it in my hand. Okay, and so, but I'm going to try not to just for now. Like I said, the reason that's works for me is because oftentimes when I pick up a slide, it's just for a moment in a song. It might be a guitar solo, it might be the end of the song where I want to jam or something like that. But I don't want to play slide the whole song, so I want to pick in my hand for most of the song, and then get to certain, and then I pick up the slide, and I still got the pick in my hand. So, But right now I'm going to put this down. And then what I want to do is just, I'm not even having to slide it right now. I'm just playing the open G string, hitting it with my first finger, and then muting it. You can hear a little delay there, I think. No, you can post pictures of the build like you've been doing, but maybe at the very end, don't post the final if you can. I know you're probably dying to once you get it done. That's like not very nice of me to tell you to do that. I'll leave it up to you, 100% up to you. But Scott, that's where you can go to the Discord to see. Was that the permanent? Did I do a permanent link? I did. Okay, good. You can see Tom's CGB build, CBG build, cigar box guitar. Yeah. Okay. So now, so this is a little tougher than doing this, because the advantage of doing this scale C, D, E is you've already got the slide on the strings. Okay. So you can already go. Okay, I want to be light touch. I want to just lay the slide very softly on the strings. Now, if it's too light, it's going to sound like that. So you do have to put a little bit of weight behind it, but not enough to even bend the strings. See, that's easier. The problem with playing G, A, B is that now you have this moment where you're putting the slide on the string. So now you've got to attain that correct pressure on the fly. Whereas here I can go, okay, I got the pressure right. I got, you can have 10 seconds to get it right and then go. But here, okay, if we want to do something a little bit more like bluesy, we go, right? And then I'm playing the G string and the D string. Very, very bluesy. Put a little bit of tremolo on your amp of that, it sounds really cool. I can turn on tremolo. Let me see if I can get that up easy. Oh wait, what am I using? Amplitude? Tremolo. See, this doesn't have tremolo, but I can add a tremolo stomp box. Amplitude. Let's see, that would be modulation, right? Tremolo. Oh, up to tremolo, okay. Well, that's really slow. I'm not digging that tremolo. Let me get rid of that. Go away. Let me find another one. Who else has tremolos? Brian Maida. No, I don't have those. Oh, here we go. Fender tremolo. It's got to be in here, right? Blender. There's a tremolo. Yeah. Okay. So the notes I'm playing, and I'm going to get rid of this. I'm just going to mute it right now. The notes I'm playing are G, B flat, and C. And I'm going back to C, or B flat. So you can practice that. 0, 3, 5, 3, 0. Play Smoke on the Water. Sounds really good actually with slide. And that's actually how he played it. With the D on, I mean, everybody learned it like that. That's not how they played it. So, yeah, a friend of mine actually played guitar for Deep Purple. A very good friend of mine, actually. I get breakfast with him sometimes. And it's not Richie Blackmore, and it's not Steve Morse. Most people don't know this guy. It's funny because he He's actually more of a bass player and a record producer. I should interview him. Oh, that would be great. I should interview him on my YouTube channel. That would be freaking awesome. He's such a great guy. You'd love him. You would love this guy. His name is Mike Bradford, and he's a very good friend, and knows so much about the business. I should definitely do a. He's just really, really funny. He's a fun hang, and he's very funny. He's got lots of great stories, and he's always got the right thing to say at the right moment. So, let's see. Oh, any mild clean like 409 or Windex. Okay. Yeah, actually, the cigar box guitar, I'd be afraid to clean because I'd be afraid it would like hurt the wood. But you put a finish on it, so. Oh, if the finish is probably your thing. Yeah, I don't know. So anyway, I'll get a wet rag sometimes and wipe them down. I've got some guitar spray stuff that I don't even know where it is. That's how rarely I actually do it. So, Vito has the list of stories too, by the way. So, as I dig into this, as I start working on this and explaining it to you, I realize how many little things that no one ever explained to me. You just kind of figure it out. I don't think I ever had a guitar lesson on slide. I think I just started doing it, and I remember the first couple times I did it in sessions, and it didn't turn out very well. One of my favorite guitar players growing up was a guy named Lee Ritenour. He was an LA session guy. He did a lot of pop records, R&B records, things like that. But he also loved, on his records, he loved to play slide. But he would also do standard tuning. He wouldn't do open tuning. It wasn't bluesy. He would always use slide as kind of almost like, he really liked synthesizers. You had a guitar synth. You had one of those 360 systems back in the 70s. And boy, I wonder what those things go for now, those 360 systems. Oh my gosh, those must cost a fortune. But I think he really liked the synthy aspect of slide on guitar. And like I said, almost always played single notes. So... Now, Hawaiian lap steel players will also play like thirds, major and minor thirds, and they do that tilting thing. They go diagonal on the fretboard, which is so hard to do with, standing up and vertically. I can kind of do it on dobro and lap steel, Hawaiian lap steel, and I may talk about those too at the end. So we could have a lot of lessons on slide. I mean, I could go more. So like I said, where you're going to have problems, and again, it doesn't hurt to have a tuner on your neck, on your headstock, so that you can check your tuning as you go. Like I said, there are times when I can't hear myself, where it's been real helpful to have a tuner there, because I'm like, I'm not sure about my note. And vibrato will hide a multitude of sins. So hit the open G and just practice going G and B flat. So B flat's at the 3rd fret of the G string. And again, I'm muting all the strings, and I'm just plucking one string with my index finger. Okay, do this. See, now there I didn't mute. Wait. I just tried to time it so that my strike of my index finger and the slide hitting the string occurred at the same time. A little difficult. It's easier if I go, if I mute in between notes. But you want, at some point you want to have a slide between two notes, because then it sounds like you have a slide. Because if I just do this, I might as well do this. However, if you can do that with a slide and get it that clean, that's actually good slide technique. But people see you pick up a slide, they want to hear some slide. So you can practice that. Like things like that. 12th fret would be the same as the open. Dominant 7th, get that 10th fret, F note. Major 3rd. That's weird sounding, isn't it? And that's just the 2 strings, the D string and the G string. Very George Thorogood sounding. Now he would be open G tuning, and he would probably hit the A string with it. But see, I can't do that because I'm not tuned to G. That doesn't work. Let's see. Oh, let's see, Dennis. Let's see, what's Dennis asking me? Sorry, Dennis. Oh, cleaning stuff. Yeah. I used to use linseed oil on my fretboard, but then it got too sticky. I don't know. That was something that I'm talking about back in the 70s. I think that was something someone told me, and I think my guitar tech back then told me to do linseed oil. And it's like I can see that if it's a guitar you never play. If it's a guitar you play a lot, it's probably going to get plenty of oil from your hands. But I don't really do a lot of guitar maintenance. Sorry. If a guitar stops being nice, I just throw it away and buy a new one. Just kidding. If I break a string, yeah, just throw it away, buy a new one. If the knob falls off, it's like, okay, forget it. I'm getting a new guitar. I just need any excuse, right? I love. There's a flow chart. I'll see if I can find it somewhere. I have it. Somebody posted it. It's like I'm pretty sure I have it in a folder of humor stuff. I should post it on the Discord, but basically it's a flow chart. It's like, should I buy another guitar flow chart? It's giant, and it's like, how many pairs of shoes does your wife have, kind of thing. That was one of the questions. If she has X number over X number, buy another guitar. So, lemon oil. Okay, well that makes more sense than linseed oil. Linseed oil is sticky. I don't know. I used to sand too. I mean, sometimes if it gets really nasty, and of course on the dark fretboard, on the rosewood fretboards, you don't really see it. On the maple fretboard, sorry, I touched my face, so let's take a sip. On the maple fretboards, you definitely see a lot of gunk, and so I will take triple aught steel wool to those and get that gunk out. Sometimes I just use, if I got the strings off, it's easy, obviously, much easier to clean. I will just kind of take a towel, like a paper towel, and get it wet and just rub it until it goes away. I feel like that's about the safest thing. If a guitar neck can't handle having a little water on it, it's not worth playing. So, but I'm really bad at maintenance, so sorry about that. I'm not really up on that. I should be more. I am now. I did buy a bunch of these, and you can see I got a bunch of these all over the place. Humidifier. So it's 72 degrees in here, which is great. The AC hasn't kicked on in 3 days. It was supposed to hit 96. It only got up to like 85 or something. So 39% humidity, which is a little on the dry side. So that it just jumped up to 41, probably because I was touching it. But generally, I think it's 45 to 55% is like prime. Now, Bruce, you might know that. Somebody posted, we were talking about that, and somebody knew it. And I forget. So I just got those, and I have a humidifier kind of centrally placed between all my guitars. So if I just kick that on for an hour or so, that's usually enough to kind of get the humidity where it needs to be, and then I turn it off. Hate to leave it on. Okay. Now, let's see. I'm going to stick with and also, one thing I'm doing that I like is I'm using the neck pickup. I just like the tone of it better. But if I'm gonna get kind of nasty, and I'll go to the bridge pickup. And that's much more country to me. So, and then as far as the size of your slide, again, if you're more interested in playing solos, you don't need as long a slide as this. You'll develop whatever slide really resonates with you. I mean, they're not horribly expensive, so you could go ahead and get different types. Those smaller ring type slides are probably going to be half the price of something this big, or they may double the price just because they don't like you. But like I said, this one was my newest acquisition in the slide realm, and it was about 1862, I think, approximately, plus tax and shipping, or no shipping. I got my pick in my hand again. Sorry. What's said? So, we're gonna get. I just kind of want to do one string right now. I just want you to work on getting the two string. When we get to more than one string, right now we don't need to have any awareness of chords, shapes, or anything like that. But once you go to two strings, you're going to start to need to see some shapes up and down the fretboard, and that's where we're going to talk about the caged method. Okay, so I may do a diagram where I put all the caged methods or all the caged shapes on a fretboard, a big long fretboard to put over here, and then I'll circle what we're looking for. We're going to look for straight line shapes that we can use for the slide, because the slide really limits us to being straight, and that's not a gender thing. You don't have to be straight to play. You don't have to be straight to play slide. That's not what I'm saying. When I'm playing single notes like that, I only need to be able to get that one note to ring out. I don't have to be worried about other strings, okay? So let's see. Okay, now I'm getting to, yeah. Try to get my son Jack to watch. Alex tunes in all the time. Let's see. If Jack tunes in, then Bruce and Jack will probably just break off and have engineering conversations. So Jack is supposed to start at Northrop this week. Let's see now. Where am I? Here we go. But when we need to have some knowledge of some chord shapes to be able to play two note stuff. I mean, I could just show you some licks, but I think you know me by now that I prefer to give you the knowledge to help you understand what you're doing, rather than just say, oh, here's a lick in C, and it's like, oh, great, I know one lick in C. Well, how do I transpose that? How did you come up with that? I really try to give you that information, even though I say that generally on all that information, there won't be a quiz on this. And you can buy these on my YouTube channel. You can also buy shirts and stuff with it on there. Bags, backpacks, I don't know. Stickers. Somebody bought a sticker with that. Dennis, I think it was it you, Dennis, that bought the sticker? Let's see. Yeah, I love it in Letterman one time, years ago, back when Letterman was first started, David Letterman, he did a shoot-off between a humidifier and a dehumidifier on stage. The whole show, we just kept cutting to them. There's the humidifier and the dehumidifier. It was a face-off. Oh, it wasn't. Somebody bought the sticker. I forget what it was. I mean, the other thing you can try to do, too, is licks that you normally might do with a pick. How would you do that on slide, Several different ways you could kind of manipulate that melody out with a slide. But you can totally do that, or it's also really good for your ear. playing slide is really good for your ear because, you know, violin players, they don't have frets, so they have to have their ear and they have to find those notes and stick with them. That's kind of why they all play in groups, so they can all be, you know, have one of them has good ear and they all follow that person. Typically what happens. So with slide, it's you know, it's a good thing for your ear. And again, that's why I suggest having a tuner on there so you can check your work. Yeah, I'm there. But my ear tells me I'm right. It's weird because I'm not playing with anything, and I'm playing single notes, and I can tell that's an E. You know, and again, the vibrato, if you're not perfectly on E, the vibrato hides that. It hides a multitude of sins. And again, I'm muting all the strings with my right hand except the string I'm playing, and that takes some practice. Okay, and that's why I say just start on the G string and just play. Then maybe try to add. Now I'm adding the second string and playing with my second finger. Now I don't have a third fingernail right now, but and the first string is the hardest one to kind of get. It's the lightest, so it's the one that's going to want to push down the most, which is the thing that freaked me out when I watched Derek Trucks play. I was like, oh my gosh, he does the one thing you were told not to do with slide, and that's push down. When he went. I could hear frets. He was doing it on purpose. And it's real easy to do on the first string and actually almost hard not to do on the first string because a couple things, because he would also tilt his slide, so he's literally just, he's only playing the slide's only on one string, which is really, really easy to do. I'll do it on dobro. When I'm playing dobro, I'm typically using, when I'm playing single notes, I'm actually only got the slide on one string. Let's see if we can find my favorite dobro slide. I don't see. It's in my case. So I mean, this one's okay. It's just not quite what I'm used to. But this one is actually really, really good for that because it's got a point on it, kind of. So like when I'm playing dobro, see, I'm only hitting one string. I'm only putting it on one string. Now I'm laying it down when I'm doing chords. Out of tune, but you get the idea. Oh, Kathy's in the house. What? The Dunlop System 65 for cleaning my guitar. Well, I can find that on Amazon and put a link to it so that if you buy it, hey, I make a couple pennies. Let me find it. Dunlop 65 cleaning system. Okay, and if you're just joining us, here's the, I saw it went down to the red for a second. Dang it. We don't have a lot of viewers. I think this is getting pretty specialized. Let's see, Dunlop 65. Boom, 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 ba-dum, ba-dum, boom, boom. Ba-dum. Oh, no man. Interesting. Yeah, so, and you know, like I said, I'm really bad about doing this kind of stuff. I should probably order one of these myself. But here's a link. So if you want to, if you're looking into buying some stuff to clean your guitars, maybe I'll buy it and even do a review of it or something. That wouldn't be a bad thing. Although cleaning my fretboard would mean having to take my strings off. Generally, when I take strings off, that's awesome. Yeah, Catherine, I totally understand that. Everybody's buying. Amazon stock's done very well during the pandemic. It's sad because so many mom and pops are going to go out of business. Now, just as an aside, there are a lot of mom and pops that sell their wares on Amazon. I knew someone that made a fortune, not a fortune, but basically didn't have to work a job, regular job, because they imported from China little, xylophones for schools, and her cost from China was, a third of what she sold them, and school districts would buy them from her, and they wouldn't just buy one, they'd buy like 50 of them, and so she had a living importing, like, and that she didn't triple her cost or something. I don't know what her but when you got to pay for shipping, and you got to give Amazon a percentage. I had had a friend that was in marketing in the music business, and then 2008 hit and he lost his job, and we were talking, and I was thinking about doing my guitar hammer thing idea that I told you about, and he was really into helping me market that, and that was one of the things we talked about was basically you just have them made, and then you ship a pallet of them to Amazon, and then you use Amazon for fulfillment. And he said at the time they only charged like 75 cents per, plus shipping. Hey, David, what the heck? You're here. I bet you've been busy. People getting back to chiropractic health, I'm assuming. Yeah, no, I know who you are. The picture's the same though. And you're David Salkin. So I know that. I got to come to New York and get my back tweaked. Yeah, I only went to a chiropractor once, and they didn't end up doing anything. They just talked to me. And I kind of was like, yeah, I don't want to spend the money. They just told me to drink more water and get more vitamins. And then said I had a left shoulder lean. And I'm like, yeah, but I told you that I'm a guitar player. It's like, yeah, it's called having 20 pounds on your shoulder all the time. So, it was funny. All right, so where's Avito? I need my stories. I think I do remember one of my stories that, because I told him 3 different. Oh, I know. One of them was you'll never work in this town again, and then another one was getting out of jury duty another time. Actually, I didn't. The time I talked about now, you have to admit Wednesday's story was pretty good. Diane, if you're watching, you need to go back and watch Wednesday's story because it's pretty darn good. It was pretty much an hour and a half in, but it was worth it. So we're done for now. So if you're here for the slide lesson, take off. And if you don't want the story time, I think people start showing up. Let's see I think I have more people now because of story time. People avoid the lesson part and then they come for the story. So let's see which story. Well, since I already told the story about the jury duty Wednesday, I'll tell the story. I'll tell that story, the other story about how I got out of jury duty, and it was legitimate, I think. And they asked, and I was in the pool, and I was almost on the jury. In fact, I was the last person disqualified from the panel, and then they started the trial. So I don't know how long. In fact, I think I talked to the guy. We became Facebook friends. One of the guys that was on the jury, and they said it took a lot longer than they said it would. But he was a salaried employee, so he was getting paid. But I would have not been. I would have been losing money if I'd been on that jury. I mean, I would have lost a lot of. I would have been. It would have been tough because, I got bills to pay. It's like you can't. The Pasadena Power doesn't care if you. Like, oh hey, so I did jury duty. Yeah, you still owe us $180. It's like, yeah, but I did jury duty. Yeah, that doesn't pay us. I know it didn't pay me either. So anyway, okay. So the story. So for years, for about 10 years, I was the music director for a show at my church in Pasadena, Lake Avenue Church in Pasadena, and what it was kind of a review, a music review, and it was music from the 50s to at the time to the 90s. Top 10 hits. We did Monkey. We had, and what we would do is it was just people from the church, and they would dress up like this, the look, and they didn't necessarily have to be able to sing. It was more about the show and less about the quality of the singers. Now the band was good. I got great musicians. The first year I did it was the guitar player, but after that I ended up being the music director. So I had to create charts for horn players and all that stuff. And it was really, really good for me. It was really hard, and I probably ultimately, with all the time I spent on it, with the meetings and then the picking tunes and then figuring out all the charts, writing all the charts, figuring out the tunes, figuring out the horn lines, doing the rehearsals, doing the shows. I probably didn't make minimum wage, but they did pay me. It wasn't pro bono, and it was always kind of a highlight of the year. It was a lot of work, and it was one of those things where you get to the last day and the last one, and you're sad. You're exhausted, but you're sad. It's like if you do a play or a musical, you know how that is. It's like that. It's like you become war buddies, So you become family. So they, so I was putting together the band. I was the music director. I was also the MD, so I hired the band. And for several years, I'd been playing in this big band. And if you're a pretty good guitar player, and you're interested in getting better and you want to work on your reading, I really recommend. Oftentimes, in every city, they have these pickup bands where they'll not even rent. Usually, what happens is we used a Sierra Madre's City Hall, they had some room that they let us use every Wednesday night, 52 weeks a year, so that we could have rehearsal as long as we did one show every year for the city of Sierra Madre in the park. So it was worth it. We didn't get paid for rehearsals, and we didn't get paid for the gig. But what I did, what I was doing was I was using it as an opportunity to practice my sight reading, and the book was this thick of music. And I won't say the leader's name, but he was a bit of a child prodigy. Not when I was working with him, but before, 20 years before that, he was like this 7-year-old kid that had a big band, and he was a trumpet player and a singer, and he was like 10 years old, and he had a big band. I've tried to find the video. He claimed that he was on the Johnny Carson show. I don't know what that means. If he meant he went to the Johnny Carson show, but I've yet to find a video of him on the Johnny Carson show. But maybe I should look more now. But that was kind of his claim to fame, and his mother's claim. Mom was kind of a stage mom as well. She was kind of always involved in everything. And so I would do, we would do maybe 5, 6, 7 gigs a year. I mean, the one gig would be New Year's Eve, and it would pay pretty well, maybe $200-300, which was a lot for me, at the time. But I was guitar, and guitar was always expendable. So if there wasn't budget for a 17-piece band, then they would cut. I would be the first to go. And they'd have piano, bass, drums, and then they would have 4 trombones, 4 trumpets, and 4 saxes. So that's 12 plus that'd be 15. Yeah, so that's about right. So anyway, but it was great. Many of the musicians were older guys, and I was young. I was in my 20s at the time for much of this, because I did this for years. I was at my 20s, and the guys that some of these guys were in their 60s and 70s that were in the band, like the trumpet players and sax players and stuff, and they played with Billy May and with Frank Sinatra, and they had serious real world experience. And at first, when they would tell me, "Oh, you should do this," the trumpet player's telling me what to do, and I'm like, "What do you know?" And then I realized, he was 100% right. Like, oh, that's what what was the guitar player he was always quoting? Not Charlie Christian, but it was one of those guys that played in big bands. He goes, "Oh yeah, I played with this guy," and then I started doing some research and I realized, oh my gosh, like this guy, Grant Green, I think it was. He was like, "Oh, Grant Green would do this." I'm like, so what do I care? And then I realized, oh wait, I need to shut up and learn. You forget sometimes when you're in your 20s that you know nothing. You know what I mean? It's like my kids all know everything, and then in your 30s you realize you knew nothing. So you just have to kind of go through that. So I played in this big band. So every year for this show, it was called A Night of 1,000 Stars. I called it A Night of 1,000 Emotional Scars, but A Night of 1,000 Stars, and it was fun because like one year we had a completely tone deaf pastor do an Elvis, like You Ain't Nothing But a Hound Dog, and he wore the leather and the blue jeans and the t-shirt, and he did his hair up and he danced around, and everybody just died laughing. And it was awesome, and everybody loved it. And sent you a pic. Good. I'm glad it was a pic. You're 73 and still. I know, right? Yeah, you could fill libraries with stuff I don't know. In fact, they do. Every library is filled with stuff I don't know. So this band leader. So I decided one year to hire. I needed a horn section. I may have been the first year that I needed a horn section. So I hired this band leader who played trumpet to hire a couple of players. I think it was him and another trumpet player and a sax player or something like that. Or maybe another trumpet, sax, and a trombone. So we had a 4-piece horn section. I had a budget for that. So I had him hire the band, or the horn section, right? And then the director was this other guy, and he was a kind of a wannabe singer, wannabe actor, and he and the trumpet player friend of mine, the band leader, didn't really get along. They were both single. They were both hitting on the same girls. It was like, they kind of. So at one point, the band leader got really mad during rehearsal. We had like one more rehearsal before the show. And he's like, "I'm out of here." And he makes a big scene in front of everybody. I mean, there's a lot of people involved in the show. The band, and you have all these different people that are coming. You got people doing the Monkees, so there's 4 people. You got someone doing Fleetwood Mac, so there's a couple people. You got, you've got Paul Anka, a singer, and you got Stevie Wonder, and you got all these people that are doing, imitating different artists. So, there's probably 100 people in the room and plus tech people for this show rehearsal. And he makes a giant scene. And I'm just like, really, dude? I hired him, so it looks bad on me, right? I mean, that's never make your employer look bad because you're not going to be employed. So he makes a big scene, storms out, and but he left his trumpet on stage. So. So I'm like, okay, I know what he also did this. And this was for me the final straw. He goes to the horn players and he goes, "Come on, guys, let's get out of here." Because he subcontracted them, right? And they're looking at him like, yeah, no, this isn't our battle, and we need the gig, and it's $1,000, and we're gonna stay. And they didn't go anywhere. And so that was like, for me, the final straw. It's like, not only are you going to quit, you're going to try to take the horn section with you, or take a bunch of people, try to create this division. I mean, come on, that's ridiculous, right? Okay, let me get the Discord link. Let me see. Hold on. Okay, this should not expire, so it should be good. I don't know if that means it doesn't expire when this thing goes. Okay. Boom. All right. So I'm so the band. So where we are now, the horn players, the kind of the leader of the horn section, has taken off in a huff because he had a fight with the director of the show, and I'm the music director. Basically, it's a two-man operation, me and the director. And so after about an hour and a half of rehearsal, one of the girls comes up to me, whispers in my ear, "Hey, Tom, this guy who shall remain nameless, the trumpet player wants you to bring his trumpet and case back to the backstage because he's back there. He's been sitting back there for an hour and a half because his trumpet was still on stage, and he wanted me to bring it to him." And I said, no, he can come out and get it. I'm not going to bring it to him. And so about another half hour goes by, and he comes out and he's like, "I have an announcement to make." He goes, the girls were talking to me backstage, and they were telling me how much they need, because he was actually singing a song in the show too. So he actually had a moment where it was his song. It was probably some Frank Sinatra thing or something that he did well. And he goes, they talked me into it. I realized, it's more important that the show must go on. It's like just a complete line of bull. He just felt bad and he wanted to come back, and the girls talked him into it. And it's like, ugh. So he was the hero, right? I'm just sitting there going, okay. And, all right. So, this, rehearsal shows went great. Okay, end of story. The flash forward, the next year comes along. It's an annual event. And we did it. I went ahead and I found there's 1 million horn players in LA. I found 3 horn players that could do it. And I hired them and did it myself and did all the charts, which I did anyway. And, I think I still have all those charts, which are pretty cool. I mean, I did a lot of work on those things, writing out all those horn parts with felt pen and making mistakes, and before I had software. And we did the show. It's great. I don't know. It was another show. It was another one of those. You're exhausted afterwards, but fun. Glad to do it. Swear you're going to never do it again. One of those things. And Beth and I are in our little Honda Civic. I think it was before we had kids, or maybe Alex was in the back seat. And we're driving around PCC. There's some reason I'm at Pasadena City College, and now you can't drive where I was driving. It was like back on the campus. I think I went to the music building for something, and I run in. I see the guy. I see the guy that the leader of this band, and I think I still was doing maybe some rehearsals with that band, or I don't think I'd done anything. No, I hadn't done anything with them. That had stopped. I had maybe done 1 gig a year with that band, at that point. So it wasn't like I needed the gig. It was 52 rehearsals and 1 gig, unpaid rehearsals. So I see him and I go, "Oh, hey," I roll down my window. Beth is sitting next to me on the right, drinking a coffee, and he's like, hey, Tom, so you didn't do that show this year?" "Oh, no, we did it." He goes, "What? You did it? You didn't call me?" "Well, no." He goes, "Well, why didn't you call me? It was my gig, right?" I went, "No, you fought with the director. He's my boss. I'm not going to be able to call you again." He goes, "What? What? That's why you didn't call?" "Well, you'll never work in this town again." He said, Beth literally sprayed coffee all over the windshield. She laughed so hard. It was like, what? He was telling me. I mean, I literally thought I'd go my whole career without hearing that cliche. But he literally said, and I'm in Pasadena, so I'm like, yeah, you know what? He was right. I never did work again in Pasadena. No, that's not true. But he literally said, "You will never work in this town again." I'm like, great. Last time I saw him, he didn't recognize me. I'm not gloating because I like the guy. We had a lot of fun, but it's just a legitimate business thing. You can't, if your employee doesn't work with your boss, they don't get along. Well, you can't keep this employee. And I saw him, and I was sad because he was working, at a Salvation Army. And I was just a little bummed because I was like, because he actually was he was a good band leader. He got gigs. He was a little dorky. He got us all coats and suits and things like that. And I remember when he bought the coats, he bought like 20 of them. And he didn't have any money, and he asked if he could borrow my credit card. So I went to the place, and I think it was like $2,200, more money than I'd ever put on my credit card before. And I did it, and he wrote me a check, but they wouldn't take checks. And so, and the check cleared. And yeah, totally ace. You will never work in this. It was like a Seinfeld episode. I swear to God, my life is a Seinfeld episode. And so I felt bad for him, but he was an average trumpet player, but he had great trumpet players. But he could play the occasional solo, String of Pearls. We were doing a lot of Benny Goodman and all of that war era stuff. That was World War II swing, not bebop. We never got into bebop. It was always just the big band era type stuff. It was fun stuff. It was great to play with guys that, in some cases, actually played back with those people back in the day. And that was what was really cool about that band. Fortunately, I realized that before we stopped doing it. And it was gone for years. I probably did 7 or 8 years with this guy. So, I kind of felt bad that he never amounted to anything, in the music business. I think part of that is getting too much success when you're young is so poisonous. I really, I see it all the time in Hollywood. We see it with young actors. Really, really hard to transition from being successful as a kid in Hollywood to an adult. It rarely. I think of Doogie Howser. He's one of the people that's been one of the few people that were actually able to do it. When Alex did an episode of Big Bang Theory, if you're a fan of Big Bang Theory, you can see Alex. He's in the first season, and they're in a park, and he's playing guitar. And he actually got he got writer's credit, so he gets BMI every quarter for that show because it's in syndication. And he was playing guitar in it, but I had to open a Coogan account for him to be able to do that gig. And the Coogan account is, was it Jimmy Coogan, or was a kid actor who's, they give the checks to the parents, and then the parents spend it all, on themselves, not on Coogan. So the rule is now you have to put 85% of the money in the Coogan account. And I put 100% of the money in. I didn't take anything from anything Alex made. Anything Alex did in that kind of vein, he got all of it. I never took any of it. But a lot of parents that do the stage parents, they will, the 15% is what they live on, because the kids make so much money that the parents make, their Doogie. Yeah, the parents make so much money. So I saw Doogie Howser in Pasadena, right around the corner from where we lived. He was going to the Playhouse there in Pasadena. We lived right by the Playhouse there, like 2 blocks away from the Playhouse in Pasadena. Really, really cool old building. And he and his husband were going to see a musical with their kids. So it's kind of weird to just be walking down the street and see Doogie Howser. Because we know him mainly from How I Met Your Mother, which is a really fun show. And then, what was the other thing? Oh, he did the Lemony Snicket. I don't know if you've seen the Lemony Snicket, but that's pretty good. I think that's his production. So, all right. So, I will take off now. Oh, that's funny. That's interesting. David's got an autograph of Doogie Howser. What's his real name? And I could look it up, but I'm not going to. So I am going to take off, and I am going to wow. Now see, we got more viewers now than we had the whole time. Okay, so I did a bunch of stuff on Slide. We're going to continue on Slide on Monday. We're going to start looking at some shapes. We're going to use cage method to come up with some very usable shapes we can snag with the slide. Today we just talked about playing single note lines with the slide. So practice that. We talked about muting with the right hand, muting behind the slide with the left hand, the left fingers. We talked about vibrato. We talked about having a tuner on the headstock so you can check your tuning. We talked Wednesday. We talked about the different types of slides. Okay, I really like my glass slide, which is kind of what Dwayne Allman and Derek Trucks use. Also metal slide. Also, I started using this because Sonny Landreth used these. He doesn't anymore though. I think he uses a glass slide now, but very heavy. And this is a Craftsman. We talked about that last week. I mean Wednesday. So, all right. So I will see you hopefully on Monday. Who knows? I will try. Bruce, thank you for reaching out on Instagram and pointing out, because we had a conversation. I was going to get on, not Instagram, sorry, on Discord. I was going to get on Discord, but then when I was working, I got up early this morning. I got all the material last night, so I actually did all the prep work and did all the electric work. And then I did the acoustic stuff this morning. And I could tell that I was going to be done, and I was pretty sure I was going to be able to make it. And so at the end, I was kind of doing, I had to do some emails. That's why I was a little late. And then my camera wouldn't work. So I was logged, I was ready to go at 9 exactly, and then the camera didn't turn on for some reason. So I had to reboot my system, and then it worked. I don't know why. But we will, Monday we'll talk about using the cage method to find some shapes, okay? So that's the next thing. So keep up on this, and if you don't have a slide yet or something you can use for a slide, try to get one by Monday if you can. If you go to your local store, that's great. If you go to the last video, I think if you go to live chat, you'll see I put a lot of links there. I can put links on the, I can copy links. If you go to the video where I talk about slides for beginner, there's a lot of, here. If you go to this video right here, slide tips for beginners, I put a lot of links there. So, you know, if you order them now on Amazon, you probably get it by Monday. Amazon's pretty fast that way. But make sure, because some things you buy on Amazon, you know, it's like, we'll deliver January 17th. You're like, oh, you already bought it. And you're like, I'm not going to get it for 8 months. So make sure that the delivery date on it, if not, maybe try a different vendor. You can get the same slide from 5 or 6 different vendors. So if you choose the right vendor, you might be able to get it right away. Okay? All right, I'm going to log off. We didn't get very many. I think our peak was 25, which is where we're at right now. Thank you. Oh, 26. 26. All right, well, anyway, we're going to continue talking about slides. So hopefully you'll have some fun. Oh, good to see you, Leo. Goodbye, AJ. Whitsend, good to see you. David, great to see you back. David Sillers. And then, David, if I'm ever in New York, I'll come and get you. You can crack my back, okay? I promise. All right, I'll talk to you later. Thanks. Bye-bye.